Hi, I'm Kimma Ross. I'm the District Forester for the Leelanau, Benzie, and Grand Traverse Conservation Districts. And hopefully you've picked up some seedlings from the Conservation District this spring and you have them successfully planted in the ground. I just wanted to provide you with some follow-up care and maintenance as we go into the growing season to make sure that the time and effort you spent on putting these seedlings in the ground is going to pay off in a beautiful shrub or tree. So here's a service berry, and it actually is starting to bud out a little bit. It's one of the first that does that in our northern climate, and I planted this on the video a couple weeks ago for you. I just wanted to show you again that it's pretty vertical. It's firmly in the ground because there's some settling that happens after you've planted a tree. So it's firmly in the ground. It's vertical. I did make a little well to catch some water, and I have been watering it once a week because we haven't gotten some really good rains yet. And I did put a combination of organic mulch around it. And again, that mulch is really important. You don't want it right up to the stem, but you want it a couple inches away. And then that whole area that you scalped and freed of all the competing vegetation, you want to keep it that way for the first couple growing seasons. So that mulch is going to protect those weed seeds from coming back. It's also going to keep the temperature of the soil right around the root zone cooler, and it's also going to help that soil retain a little bit of moisture when we get into summer and the days start to get warm and dry. So good mulch, good placement of the seedling, but now I've got to think about continuing to water it. And when we don't receive a good amount of soaking rain, you want to get out and at least water your trees once a week. You might even think of twice a week when they're budding out like this. And you want to soak them, 2 inches of water to a seedling, and that really means that it just starts to puddle, then stop. And then it should drain quickly into our mainly sandy soils. The other thing I wanted to talk about is not fertilizing trees. We often want to just give them a little boost, but most of the nitrogen is going to promote the vegetative top growth, and that's the nitrogen in most fertilizers, and then that will actually put more stress on the seedling. What we want to see happening the first 2 years of growth is root development, and so really putting that nitrogen on is going to promote that top growth. So the top growth is going to be fighting the roots, and we really want the roots to win this year. So your seedling's not going to look amazing for the first 2 years, but after 2 years, that third growing season, give it a little 19 or whatever fertilizer works well for you, or ask your local landscape specialist for a recommendation, but give it a little bit that first week of May, and that's all a tree really needs. So no fertilizer the first 2 years, wait for the third. I did want to talk about protection from all the different critters that are out here. Obviously I planted this for songbirds, but the rabbits are rampant in my yard, and the deer do pass through. So even right now it's really vulnerable. So depending on your situation, you may have to put a tube or some sort of protection right away. I probably will leave this one unprotected because it's right in my backyard and I can monitor it a little bit more closely. But if you have really high rabbit, mole, vole, or deer pressure that are going to maybe take away that work that you put in, you may want to think of some of your alternatives. So we do have the very large, rather expensive tubes. This one is a 5-footer, as high as me. But what this will do is it'll protect this seedling until it is above the brows of deer. So this is a really great, good alternative if you have really high deer pressure and it's in a location that you're not going to be able to get at very often. It does have vented holes, so it will circulate air. You might want to watch out a little bit is when we're on really sandy soils midsummer. Those sandy soils heat up, and this acts like a greenhouse, and we actually can fry these new seedlings during those summer months. So again, it's very site specific, but I wanted to show you some of the alternatives. This one comes with a bamboo pole, and it does have a netting that you put over the top, and what that does is it prevents songbirds, bluebirds often will fall into or get trapped in here and not be able to get out. So that netting protects them from losing that. This goes around the seedling and then taps into the ground, but they're rather expensive. A more affordable alternative is a tube that comes like this, and you roll it, And right behind my cameraman, he can show you what they look like when they're installed. So a little bit less expensive, a little shorter, but it does a really good job for the smaller shrub. The other thing I want you to remember is you get it protected. You might want to use a deterrent like plant skid or a Bobex. It's an organic compound that is smelly and has to be reapplied a little more often, but it's another way to protect your seedlings without a tube. The other thing is you can hang hair or soap or reflective tape that can sometimes keep animals away. And the other thing is during the summer months, go back and check. Make sure that they're doing well and look for signs of insects or disease, any signs that an insect has been feeding on it, and see if you can mediate that and really give this seedling the first 3 years of its life the best chance to go into maturity. So hope this was helpful to you, and have a good summer. Thank you.